What happens when a Filipino musician brings her band of jazz musicians and her kulintang to the biggest party for kulintang music outside of Mindanao? Welcome to House of Gongs. It's 2025. We are producing the 5th edition and 10th anniversary of North America's only kulintang festival, Gongsters Paradise, May 3rd in San Francisco, California. We're gearing up now by talking with previous Gongsters. In this video, we speak with Leslie Damaso, the musician and composer from the picturesque town of Mineral Point, Wisconsin, where she mobilized the entire city to be the visual accompaniment to her first recording of the classic revolutionary anthem, Bayan. Check it out in the link in the description below. She delved deep into Kulintang music, adding a pre-colonial and indigenous layer to her mix of Kundiman vocals and hot jazz instrumentation. Our work at House of Gongs involves time zone challenges, so please excuse the shots where it looks like I'm leaning against a parked car, trying to get good cellular signal because of a brownout in the province. Because I am. Without further ado, thanks for joining us, and here is Leslie Damaso.
While I was on stage, it was just incredible to see that many Filipino people. I've never performed in front of so many people who kind of look like me. And I was like, wow. I just have to say that anytime the audience hears the Kulintang, they get super, super excited. Whatever it is we're doing, we have to be super intentional about it. And whatever these skills are that we have, and however the way is that we want to live, that we are, we don't do it half-heartedly.
I'm here with the one and only Leslie Damaso, connecting across time zones to ask her if anything has changed since the last Gongsters Festival, where your band got an amazing standing ovation.
Hey guys, that was 2023 Gongsters, and it was such a beautiful experience. And I just remember walking into St. Joseph Art Society in awe of this space, first of all, and then all of the wonderful artists that were there and all the performances. It was so inspiring. We had so much fun there. Oh my gosh, there was also the market. That was beautiful. So I came out with my third album called Sirena. So here's the record. It's a double vinyl record. We had 7 people in the band. We probably only had about 12 hours to record within 2 days. Through my engineer here in Madison, Wisconsin, I was able to get connected to this wonderful mastering engineer named Jet Galindo, who's Filipina, out in LA. So I got to go out there to listen to the final record that she mastered. And it was just such an incredible experience. Basically, what I've been doing the past maybe 8 to 10 years has been to connect with as many Filipino American artists as much as possible, and to just see how they are each communicating and performing and creating their art, and hoping to get inspired as well. The record came out, and that's available on Bandcamp if you want the double vinyl or CD. So most recently, what was really exciting, I went back to California. I keep going back to California for some reason. I got to study with Bernard Ellerin, who was a student of Danny Calanduyan, just like you, Ron. I guess coming off of that Gongster festival, I was like, oh my gosh, there's so much to learn. So this is part of the education. I also got to work with Kim Calanduyan and then Janet Asuncion of the Pacarugian Kulintang Ensemble. So I spent a good week there taking lessons just about every day. I'd never actually taken a lesson in person. So Ron and I were taking sporadic lessons during the pandemic, but we made it work. And so actually a couple of the songs that I learned from Ron, I was able to put a little bit into my record I just have to say that anytime the audience hears the Kulintang, they get super, super excited. I really believe in just like following my own curiosities and interests. And at some point, I know that it's gonna make something. I'm gonna put all the pieces together in some way and then just trust that the building of the next project.
Well, we've been watching everything you've been doing, from afar, and you were doing a lot of Filipino music before we connected through Gongsters. To a great extent, you've really integrated Kulintang into your sound, and then bringing that to your audience, your art community in Wisconsin. We're just so happy to see that double out of, because there's really a substance here to what we're all trying to do. So we're just so happy to see that. What have you noticed that might be different in your local audience since you came for Gongsters?
I get situations are different and like the actual like venues, right? Like I've played it in like a tent, a festival tent in the summer. I've also played it like outdoors where it's like hundreds of people and it's just like open air. I don't know, something about this project, even though I'm singing in Tagalog, and then I do tell the story about the mermaid and the sun and the moon love triangle. I say that in English. I tell that in English. There's a way that people are really grabbing onto it and then kind of building it as their own, like going through it, the journey with me. And everybody has kind of done that in their own way. And when they do share it and when they have shared it with me, it just like feels so very special. And so I'm honestly, so we have a package now we have CDs and the double vinyl, and the book. I mean, let me show you this. We've got a whole booklet. So that's the show. We have a show. So I want to do a tour on the East Coast, and then also think about touring internationally the show. So I'm just putting out there in the universe. So it's a lot of work to kind of piece all of that together. It's a different beast to actually finally put it together and do it. And I'm just putting out the dream right now and see if it hits similarly while I'm working on whatever the next project will be.
You also ended up in a museum.
So between now
as
and
Kulintang
like
often
Gongsters,
does.
yeah. No, I told people, I was like, oh, I'm really old now. So I'm like, I have my picture in a museum. So this was at the Winglook Museum in Seattle. So I met you randomly during the pandemic. So I also met Eric Hung around that time in 2020s. And he has a nonprofit like promoting Asian artists in the United States. So I became part of his project, which got connected with Smithsonian Folkways. And so that we got to perform at the Winglook Museum for like the opening of the exhibition. And then I got to actually speak at a conference there too, which was kind of scary because I don't consider myself really an academic. I mean, I guess academic in the sense of like, I've been creating my own studies and just following the thread. But yeah, I was in front of like real academics with PowerPoints and everything, and I didn't have one. I just talked. Oh yeah, I need to go to Hawaii probably, right?
Absolutely. That's kind of one of the big purposes of Gongsters is to, we're trying to multiply it, proliferate, to bring it everywhere. I almost want to say, we want to conquer people's attention, or maybe I should say liberate. We want to liberate people's attention to this stuff. If you think back to Gongsters, I want to try to see if I can evoke two memories from you. What was one thing that you can recall from while you were on stage? Like, what did it look like from when you were on stage? And then what's something that happened that was memorable off stage at Gongsters?
Okay, while I was on stage, it was just incredible to see that many like Filipino people. Like I've never performed in front of so many people who kind of look like me. And I was like, wow. I don't know. I have to do it. I'm just, and people were like dancing and like enjoying themselves. And like some people like tagged me on IG story and took videos and they felt like really proud of me. And I was just like so touched by that from the love, from the audience. And then backstage, it was just super fun to get to meet people, especially actually Ruby Ibarra and her crew. We got to chat with backstage, and that was super fun because I'd been admiring her like for years now, her work. And then finally got to meet her, and she's really nice. And then, something else significant about that time. Carl Angelo, who is from LA. Yeah, he's a hip hop artist from LA. We had talked like maybe a few years before that. He reached out to me for because of my last album before that. And he knew I was going to Gongsters. So he made a plan to be there so we could finally meet each other. So, and he's got an awesome project called C-Lab. And it's like an album and music and video actually for the whole album. It was really cool.
I'm glad you guys connected and that your relationship, caused him to make the trip up for Gongsters. We're actually talking to him for 2025 edition because Silao's.
Yeah.
I love Silao. It's great.
And by the way, so I said I performed at Wing Luke, the universe, it's amazing. When I took that gig in Seattle, I literally saw Carl post like, oh, hey, I'm moving to Seattle. And then so I just had this, I asked him pretty much right away. Like I messaged him and I was like, oh my God, do you want to like do something with me with one of my songs? Like because I did the whole Sirena project, but I'm like, why don't you hop into one song? And he did. And it was beautiful. And we also got to hang out and eat together and like talk about art. And yeah, it was
where did you eat?
Oh my gosh. It was this like chicken place. It was like half like kind of outdoor thing. Was it Jamaican? I don't know. It was just so fun. So fun. Yeah.
Sounds delicious.
I met with him twice because I went to Seattle twice in the last year. Yeah. So one was like for that conference and opening of the exhibit. So he performed with me then. And then I went another time near the closing of the exhibit. And then I brought my partner with me because he hadn't seen it. So by that time I had the record and Carl was like, will you hand deliver a double vinyl to me? So I did. And like, I even have a picture of him like looking at it. And then he took a picture of me signing it. It was so cute. Friendships like that. It's pretty cool. And then after all, you think about like artists, and status, I guess. And you're just like, people are just people. And then you just get to know them and what it is they do. And then you're just inspired by them. Right.
Right. Tao pala. We're human after all.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Wait, how are you? Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Wait, how are you going to take over the world with the Gongster?
Take over the world with the Gongsters. I almost want to say it's a protracted struggle. These gongs and this indigenous wisdom, indigenous tradition, all this indigenous knowledge, it was not pushed back in one generation. It happened over many generations. So it's going to be many seasons, right? Many seasons to cultivate. We need to work together, right? Like one can plant a field, but it takes a community to harvest. We're so thankful. I'm so thankful that someone with as much strength and generosity as yourself, with such a passion for making the world a more beautiful and loving space, has given us so much of your time and warmth. It fills us with hope. There's a hope for this. And it sounds corny or self-serving, but for us artists with with our diasporic story, this is something that we can do, right? This is kind of our role, is to tell the story and frame the story and connect it to people's hearts, because in a lot of ways it feels like the world is unraveling. We want to offer people something to hold on to, something that's really real and tangible, like your records and like the relationships that you're forging along the way, and all the travels and like offline, online going to offline experiences. It's everything you're saying. That's everything that we want to see more of. I'm just so thankful for this.
Likewise, I would like to. Yeah, likewise. And, thank you for all the opportunities that you've given me, and just the connection, and just like the time that you've had with me playing the gongs. It's just been a gift. And it's like you said, because we're so diasporic, it's hard sometimes to think like, okay, am I reaching out enough? Am I learning enough? What am I doing? Does it make sense? Right. But I feel like whatever it is we're doing, we have to be like super intentional about it. And whatever these skills are that we have, and however the way is that we want to live, that we are, we don't do it half-heartedly.
Well said. I'm just like so filled up by everything you're saying. It's almost hard to respond knowing that there's a recording happening and I have to like speak quickly. You have to believe it, and there's a hope in it, almost like a sense of like an anchor, right? Like we're being swept away in this modern world, and I'm glad that people can find you and then connect with your record and connect with your work and your music, and that can be like something to grab onto. It's going to anchor you in these really wild currents.
Yeah, it's the role of artists. Really, it's that practicing hope, because we know how to practice. So
yeah, there's this
act of hopefulness, right?
Yeah, sometimes it's really hard. Like you ever have this feeling where you're putting in the work and you're like, your hands are tired and you're hungry and the bills are due, and you're just kind of wondering, like, does this matter? Like, does anybody care? Like, am I all alone?
Mm-hmm. And it's funny you say that too, because those are the sort of feelings I have in February in Wisconsin, where it's like, I don't know, the cold gets to your bones, and like, you're in February and you're like, okay, how do I make myself feel alive? How do I make myself feel excited about anything that I'm doing? What's going to happen the rest of the year? Yeah, things like that.
Exactly. So for my last question, what would you say to someone that is on the fence of whether or not they should get involved with Gongsters, audience or artist?
I mean, no matter what it is that you might get involved in, like that's like something artistic and something meaningful, Gongsters or something else. I think the being open to the world, being open to people and like new experiences, I think you should jump on it, right? And because you never know what's going to happen. And plus, nothing is permanent, right? You can explore elsewhere if you're in a space where you're like, okay, I learned what I learned here, and then I can go elsewhere. I'm a big believer in jumping into things and seeing what happens, and I want to be surprised. And I think about that actually when I go to concerts. I tend to choose concerts that I have no expectations But I expect to be delighted, whether it's just gonna be like little thing or like a big thing. Honestly, or maybe I might get bored. I'd rather have that than have something predictable. But it's successful if I like go to something or or talk to someone and be like, oh wow, okay, that was inspiring. So I'm sure no matter what kind of person you are, you're gonna find your way and you're gonna find your inspiration. And if that's Gongster, cool. Yeah, do it.
Do it. Well, yeah, nothing is permanent, but what you did when you jumped in last festival, you took the full plunge and
I'm a mermaid,
the ripple
remember?
effect.
Sirena. I'm poor Sirena.
Oh, sorry. You emerged to bless Gongsters with your work and your voice and your band, and the the purpose of this conversation is kind of to take note of the ripples that are coming out and the waves that it's creating, and to give thanks for your contribution to the ocean
Thank you.
to provide exactly what we need. So you'll be permanent with us, and I think the future is bright for you. We're so thankful for you giving us the time. Hope we can do this again soon, because you are a wealth of wisdom. Thank you so much.
Aw, salamat. Salamat. Likewise. Yeah, I can't wait to learn some more and to just hang
Yes.
out.